he was like, "That's a silly face. What are you doing?" And I was like, "Well, that was my real like
Fear.
and terror in that moment. I don't know what to say. I wasn't trying to pull silly faces."
For yourself, it's such a physical performance. Was that the most daunting when you read the script, that you were going to have to do these things?
I think having read the script, like reading the script, I didn't know, I honestly don't think I knew exactly how I mean, I knew that the physicality was always going to be an important aspect to it, but I think I maybe had imagined it more like improvised and wild. And then when I actually got to Prague and we started like preparing to shoot, I met our movement coach, Maria Gabrielle Roti, who's so incredible and really helped me, like, you know, not only like do all of that physical stuff, but make sure that, you know, there was real like emotion and thought behind every movement, and that it wasn't just kind of like going crazy for the sake of going crazy, but that it was like rooted in a real emotion and like a real intention that, you know, that was going to tell like a story of its own. So that was like daunting for sure, but I also like have never worked that way, like in that specific way, and so it was really exciting to me, and yeah, a beautiful part of the experience.
Yeah, absolutely, and I love how the marketing has kept Bill Skarsgård's transformation out of this, because that moment, that first scene when you arrive at the castle is just so good. It's so atmospheric, so haunting. For both of you, when you saw him for the first time and his whole outlook, like, surely you didn't even recognize that was Bill. You must have thought it was like some stuntman.
Well, we heard him first. Whilst we were rehearsing some of our scenes, Rob had a recording of the voice that Bill was developing, and that was crazy and impressive and terrifying, but also, you know, Rob had it on his phone, but it filled the room and was so imposing, even at that point. And then when you see physically what he brings to it, you know, it's rooted in so much history and truth in terms of who this person was in that era and this kind of creature and monster that they've become. And it's physically imposing and terrifying in how he breathes and moves and everything, but so it was, yeah, very terrifying to be around.
Yeah, definitely. And it's faithful to the original movie, and also he took stuff from the books as well. But it feels like, because they've centered Ellen this time around, it feels like a modern version, like it's set in the 1800s, but feels like for today. Did that come across as well for you? Is that what sets it out?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that was like a, you know, that was a beautiful and really important choice that Rob made to tell the story from Ellen's perspective. And I think that, you know, it really like gave a voice to the character that she wouldn't necessarily have had at the time, because of course, you know, like you know, being a woman at the time looked very different, and there was a lot less room for a woman to have like basically any complexities about her, or any sort of mental struggles at all were like easily written off, or you know, trying to be solved by like some, you know, ridiculous treatment, like tying her corset even tighter so that her womb wouldn't be like traveling around the body, which of course we know now is not possible. But you know, I think that was a deliberate choice that was really important, and I think that it just like deepens the storytelling so much actually by doing that. You're not just giving a voice to the female perspective, but you're also deepening the kind of like emotional draw of this story, because you can see that this woman is like not only plagued by this vampire, this like demonic force, but there's a longing there as well, you know, which of course, you know, makes things so much more complicated.
Definitely. Just finally, it's a Robert Eggers film, so you know it's going to be, the production design, everything is going to be incredible, but part of that, and he's already been talking about this, is there were 5,000 odd rats on set. And like, I had pet rats. I love rats, like, great. But even I don't think I'd have enjoyed that experience. How was it for you guys? So is that kind of something you're like, oh, why didn't you just use VFX here?
We had like remember we had like animal training, like animal meetings?
Yeah, I think the most terrifying, more scary for me than the rats were the wolves.
I don't know how you do that. I wouldn't have been able to do that.
They were Czech shepherds. But they were honestly, I don't think, they were scary. I'm not going to go into the details of it, but I was like...
Well, they were literally running after you.
And before the scene, I was like physically trying to get myself exhausted and stuff, and I'd run up and down the spot, and they'd be like held back on leashes the other side of the room. And then I knew that
like lunging at you?
Like barking, going mad.
Oh God.
And then it would be like, they'd call action, and I knew that like 3 beats after action, they'd get released and just chase me to this window. And there was one time where I slipped trying to get out the window, and I was like, oh no, what happens when they get me? And I pulled like some weird, silly face, and Rob was like, that's a silly face, what are you doing? And I was like, well, that was my real like fear and terror in that moment. I don't know what to say. I wasn't trying to pull silly faces.
Did they tell you like what would have happened if they had caught
I don't know,
you?
I didn't ask because I thought it was better if I didn't know.
They're like, just don't let them catch you.
I guess they would have just been like, and started licking my face maybe.
You survived.
Hopefully.
So we're here. You survived. It's all
Yeah.
good.